After a decade of marriage, you start to believe you've seen every side of the person beside you. The laughter, the tempers, even the quiet moments that make a house feel alive. I thought I had, too, but one evening showed me how wrong I was. It wasn't during an argument or a confession. It happened in our living room, on a night filled with laughter that didn't include me. My wife, Claire, had invited a few coworkers over after their quarterly meeting. I didn't mind. I cooked dinner, set the table, opened a few bottles of wine. Among her guests was her colleague, Emily, tall, confident, the kind of woman who drew attention without even trying. I'd met her before. She was witty and just sharp enough to make people slightly uneasy. The evening started smoothly, work banter, teasing, harmless chatter. I sat nearby, smiling when it fit, genuinely laughing when it felt right. But by the second glass of wine, when someone suggested a game of truth or dare, the mood shifted. Emily was dared to reveal her secret crush in the room, with a mischievous grin. She glanced at me and said, "Well, if Claire ever gets tired of her husband, I wouldn't mind taking him." The room burst into laughter. Everyone except me. Claire leaned forward, eyes glinting, and shot back, "Oh, please take him for a week. Maybe then he'll finally learn to listen." The laughter doubled. It was supposed to be light-hearted, but her words hit like a slap. I forced a smile, pretending it didn't sting. Inside, though, something cracked. Emily noticed first. Her laughter faded as she looked between us. Uneasy. "Careful what you offer," she murmured, trying to ease the tension. But the damage was done. After everyone left, I tried to talk to Claire about it. She brushed it off with a laugh. "Oh, Ryan, don't be so sensitive. It was just a joke." A joke. The word echoed long after she'd fallen asleep. I lay awake beside her, staring at the ceiling, realizing how small I'd started to feel in my own home. It wasn't the first time she made me the punchline, just the first time I couldn't laugh along. In the days that followed, something shifted. Claire was suddenly busier. Late nights, new projects, vague excuses I didn't bother to question. Instead of asking, I began observing. One afternoon, I stopped by her office to surprise her. She wasn't there, but Emily was. She looked startled to see me and said Claire had left early. Something about errands. We exchanged polite small talk, and just as I turned to go, she said quietly, "I felt bad about that joke the other night. You didn't deserve it." I tried to brush it off. I'm used to being her punchline. She held my gaze. "You shouldn't be." Her words stayed with me. Maybe it was her sincerity, or the fact that she didn't defend Claire's behavior. Maybe it was just the first time in a long while someone had spoken to me with genuine kindness. Over the next few weeks, Emily and I talked more. Nothing secret or inappropriate, just conversation. Work, life, little things. She listened, asked questions, noticed parts of me Claire hadn't in years. Then one evening, while Claire was out with friends, Emily called. Her voice trembled. She'd just gone through a breakup and didn't want to be alone. I hesitated, then went over. We sat on her balcony as the city lights shimmered below. She talked, I listened. Somewhere between her laughter and her tears, she looked at me and whispered, "You deserve better, Ryan." For the first time in years, I believed her. By dawn, she'd fallen asleep on the couch beneath a blanket. Nothing happened. No lines were crossed, but something inside me shifted. I left before she woke. The cool morning air hit in my face like a quiet truth. When I got home, Claire was in the kitchen, eyes fixed on her phone. She looked up, face unreadable. "Where were you?" "Out," I said. "With who?" I hesitated just long enough for her to notice. "A friend." For a second, her confidence faltered, but then that familiar smirk returned. "Well, I hope she enjoyed your dull little stories." I smiled faintly. She did. For once, Claire had no comeback. Her laugh came out thin, uneasy. She turned away, pretending it was nothing, but we both knew something had changed. Days passed, colder now. We barely spoke, ate at different times, moved through the same house like strangers. I stopped chasing her attention, stopped trying to earn respect that was never coming. And in that silence, The power between us quietly shifted. A week later, Claire hosted another one of her little parties. Same people, same shallow laughter. I sat quietly, detached, sipping my drink. Someone joked, "So, Ryan, is your wife offering you up again tonight?" The room erupted with laughter. This time, I didn't join in. I set my glass down. Actually, I said calmly, I accepted. Emily didn't seem to mind. The laughter died instantly. Claire's smile froze. The color drained from her face. No one knew where to look. I stood, placed my empty glass in the sink, and walked out without another word. Behind me, I heard her forced laugh, brittle and hollow. The joke wasn't funny anymore. That night, I packed a bag. Not out of anger, just exhaustion. When you're always the punchline, eventually you stop showing up for the show. I stayed in a hotel for a few days, unsure of what came next. Emily called after hearing what happened. "You actually left?" she asked softly. "I did." A pause. Then she said, "Good." Weeks passed. Claire called, texted, even showed up at my office once. She said she'd been joking, that I'd overreacted, that she missed me. But her words sounded rehearsed, more regret over losing control than losing me. Meanwhile, Emily and I began seeing each other more often, with guilt no longer hanging between us. Something real began to take shape. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about peace. Something I hadn't felt in years. Months later, I ran into one of Claire's old co-workers at a cafe. She looked surprised. She still talks about that night sometimes, she says that's when she realized she went too far. I nodded, smiled politely, and left. Driving home, I thought about how it all began, with laughter, loud, careless laughter that had quiet cruelty. Every joke carries a fragment of truth. Claire's jokes revealed her contempt. Mine masked my endurance. When she joked about giving me away, she didn't realize she already had, piece by piece, to indifference, to disrespect, to a version of me that had forgotten his worth. When I finally walked out, it wasn't for Emily. It wasn't for payback. It was for peace. Choosing silence over mockery. Self-respect over comfort. Because sometimes, the quietest departures leave the deepest echo. You,